So now we're going to talk about what it means to be a D, an I, an S and a C. Now really there's three ways to understand DISC. You can look at in your reports, in the back page, section 2 of your reports, it talks about the DISC theory and explains all of the different behaviours in a column sheet on page 28. But what we're going to refer to now is on page 19, and we're also going to link back to page number 5. And on page 5 it talks about the scales, and so what it means to be high in an area or low in an area. And so between page 5 and page 19, where you can see these graphs, we're going to talk about what it means to be a D, I, S and C. Before we do that though, what you'll notice is that you have two graphs. One of these graphs is called your graph 2, and that's called your natural style. Graph 1 is called your adapting style. Now this is one of the key ways that DISC is different to most other profiling tools. When we talk about your natural style, we're describing more about the true you. It's how you like to behave. It's called your default pattern of behaviour. It's quite likely how you behave when you're very, very comfortable in your environment, or it can also be how you behave when you're under a lot of stress and pressure. And the reason that is because when we're under stress and pressure, quite often we are not having the opportunity to think about what is the most appropriate behaviour, and instead we just revert to more instinctive patterns. Okay, so that's your natural style. Your adapted style is when you filled out the survey, you thought about how you behave in the context of your sporting environment. And so that created your adapted style. It's literally how you feel like you behave in this environment here, knowing that you actually may behave a bit differently in another environment. If you can see these two graphs I'm holding up here, you can notice that there's a fair degree of similarity between both graphs. Now what that tells me is that this individual is not making massive or large adaptations, so that is contortions or changes in their behaviour from who they naturally are when they go to work in their sporting environment. Now the benefit to that is that when an individual is not changing themselves a great deal, it means that they're bringing most of their natural strengths to the sporting environment. Now the issue when you're making an adaptation, so this individual makes a little bit of a shift in their D score, what that means is that they're changing themselves in some way. Now when you change yourself or make an adaptation to your behaviour, it comes at what we call an energy cost. It means that you actually have to think, well, I'd like to do this, but I'm going to do this instead, because in this environment maybe you've worked out that that behaviour is not going to give you the outcomes that you want. So now we're going to take an opportunity to look at what it means to be a D. Now essentially when we look at your graphs, I always refer to your natural style first.